Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on behalf of Sri Jayendra Rangjun classes. Dear students, today onwards we are going to start with our one of the important chapter of class 12th, and that is principles of inheritance and variation. Students, you know that we are somewhat alike to our parents, means we are somewhat similar to our parents, and for the similarity and whatever the differences we have compared to our parents, that we are going to explain how they have inherited, how they have acquired in this chapter, that is the principles of inheritance and variation. So dear students, we are going to discuss, it is a somewhat a lengthy chapter, but we are going to deal with each and every small subtopics in a detailed manner, so all the doubts get cleared here in class. Okay, so let's introduce something about this. So the first question is, this chapter deals with the genetics. If it is dealing with the genetics, what is genetics, that we have to understand first. So it is a branch of biology that deals with the mechanism of inheritance and variation. It is dealing with the mechanism of inheritance. Inheritance means whatever the character we inherit from our parents, and whatever the variation differences we have among the species and to the parents, that is the variation. So how this character are passed on and why the variation is created, if we talk about the mechanism of that process, then that comes under this branch, that is genetics. It is known that genetics is not only deal with the inheritance, it is not only dealing with the passing of character, but it is also deals with the variation differences. So genetics deals with two things: inheritance and variation. Now, so inheritance, you understood what it is. It is inheritance or passing of character from parents to the offspring. Now the question is, what you mean by variation? So if you talk about variation, it is the degree by which progeny differs from their parent as well among themselves. Means how one individual, suppose one individual human population is there. Now suppose if we talk about ourselves, how we are different from each other and how we are different from the parents, if we talk about that degree, that instance, that phenomena, then it is a variation. So what is meant by inheritance, that we have discussed? Inheritance is the process by which characters are passed from the parents to the progeny. Now the variation which occur in the population that were naturally present in the wild population of a plant or animal. Wild means original population of the plant and animal that are naturally present. And to selectively, if we select that particularly variation and breed them by choosing organism which particular organism have that specific variant characteristic, then we can selectively breed and new offspring can be obtained. So variation that were naturally present in the wild population of plant and animal to be selectively bred and choose organism that possess desirable character, means we have to select. Suppose we are making a breeding crossing, we have taken one X individual, X species, one Y species, and from these two species have some of the important characteristics. Now what we will do, we will make a cross. We will take a male gamete of one and the female gamete of one. We make a cross and the next offspring will be obtained. In a genetics, in a breeding, the thing is that when we start an experiment, it is important to start with the bulk mass. Means we are not going to breed or make a breeding of only one plant. If we want to make a breeding, then we will take thousands of plant, and at the same time we will continue the same process with the thousands of parent plant. And so the thousands of offspring will be obtained, but in offspring all will not have a desired characteristic. We have to select out of this that which have a desired characteristic, and that is the selection or choosing of organism that possesses a desirable character. Now, biologically heredity from the parents. We know that biologically we inherit the characters from the parents. You know that offspring. Suppose you can see in this diagram that particular child have a characters of both father and mother. And here also you can see this is the rare photograph showing a DNA relation. Person in the left you can see is the grand old father, and right in the right you can see grand old son of nearly more than 5 generations. Means this is a two images of the individuals of the same space family having a difference of 5 generations. So the first one is the old father, grand old father, and on the right side is the son of nearly more than 5 generations. That is a old son. Then also you can see that there are similarities between them. So why this similarity exists? And at the base of this question, the genetics lies. So photograph showing a sibling with similar features. You know that siblings having a similar features. Okay, and if sibling having a similar features, then that is also a particularly a part of this genetics. So now onwards we are going to talk about some of the characteristic which are important to study this whole genetic part. Okay, to understand whole this genetic part we have to understand some of the characteristics or some of the terminology which is required for the study of genetics. And the first terminology which we are going to understand, that is a character and height. Dear students, Mendel noticed that each character appear in offspring as a two alternative forms. Means character have alternative forms, and that alternative forms is known as trait. So if we take example here, height here. If you talk about the height, this height, if you talk, this is the character. This is character. But this tallness and dwarfness are alternative forms of height character. So these are traits. What they are? These are traits. Okay. Same way, the another example given is the position of flower. The position of flower, it is also a character, and this two are the traits. So if we want to define it, then character is a major significant morphological or physiological expression, and which is produced as a result of gene expression. And so the if you talk about character, then character are height, color, position of flower, okay, pod size, these all are the characters. Main feature we can call out, it is a main significant feature. Then it is known as character. Main significant feature. But that can be having a two forms, and that is a different forms of the trait. So these are the alternative forms of character. So this is the first thing, that is the character and trait. Suppose if you have a color, color is a character, but it can be black or white, it can be fair or dark. So that is the what alternative forms, that are the traits. So you should understand this between this, the minute difference between these two terms. Here also we are giving you the some character. Suppose character is a stem height. Now in this also trait are of two type. One is dominant trait, one is recessive trait. Dominant trait is the, we can say, the main trait which is expressing everywhere, and this is the main, this is a dominant, or this is a particularly suppress, or we can say dominant over the recessive trait. So you can see stem height, if it is a tall, then it is a dominant trait, and this is a recessive trait is a dwarf. But stem height is the character. So this is the first thing that we have to understand about the character and trait. Now after this, next we talk about the homologous and non-homologous chromosome. Okay. Now when we talk about homologous chromosome, it is a pair of chromosome which are morphologically and genetically similar. One is received from the mother, so it is known as a maternal chromosome, and the another one is received from the father, so it is known as paternal chromosome. So if we talk about any cell of a human body or any organism, if it is diploid, it has a chromosome in pairs. And in each pair, one is maternal or mother chromosome, one is a father chromosome, and this pair is known as homologous pair of homologous chromosome. And these both chromosomes are morphologically and genetically similar. See, this is the thing. This is one chromosome, this is another chromosome, so it is a pair of homologous chromosomes which are morphologically and genetically similar. And in chromosome, you will find a presence of centromere here. This is the particularly a chromatid. Okay, and when two chromatids are joined by the what a centromere, then it is known as sister chromatids. Two sister chromatids joins and form a chromosome, and it is a duplicated chromosome, means it is a copy of this one, we can say, but it is actually having a differences. So this is homologous chromosome. So if I take a human cell, suppose if I take a human cell and I remove all the chromosomes and I arrange them like this in pair, then there are five pairs, and in each pair one is maternal chromosome, paternal chromosome, and one is maternal chromosome, and this pair is homologous. But if I compare the first one this chromosome with this one, then both are dissimilar in size, then they will be named as non-homologous chromosome. So what this non-homologous chromosome can be? Non-homologous can be dissimilar in morphology as well as genetics can be similar, but morphology can be different. Sorry, morphology is genetical can be different. So next is non-homologous chromosome. So non-homologous chromosome is nothing but it is two chromosomes which are morphologically as well as, means by morphology as well as genetically genetically dissimilar, then they are known as non-homologous chromosome. Now you know that if we put all the chromosomes of a cell here, suppose I am take a human male, just I told you this is the homologous pair, this is the homologous pair, this is the homologous pair, this is the homologous pair. But if I compare this one with this one, that is this is non-homologous pair. So if we compare one chromosome, one pair with another pair, another chromosome, another pair, then these are the non-homologous. But if we take a human male, in human male there is a XY chromosome, and if XY chromosome X is larger and Y is smaller, then this is also a non-homologous chromosome. or heterologous chromosome. Okay. See, in homologous chromosome, there is a genetic constitution similar between these two. But in non-homologous, the genetic constitution differs. Okay. So that is the non-homologous chromosomes. After the studying a homologous and non-homologous chromosome, on chromosome is nothing but made up of a DNA. Chromosome are made up of DNA. So next terminology which we are going to discuss, that is a gene. And gene are the determinants of chromosome present on determinants of character present on the chromosome. They are the determinants of character, means if any character is getting expressed, for that the responsible thing is a gene which is present in chromosomes. Now it is a fundamental physical unit of heredity. It is fundamental physical unit of heredity. And Mendel referred them as a factor. Initially, the gene was termed as a factor by Mendel. And for any inheritance, this is the unit. Okay. So, if you see, the chromosome are made up of DNA. See, let's understand. If we talk about this chromosome are made up of DNA. And this is the detailed structure of DNA. Now, if on DNA, this segment of DNA code for protein or polypeptide known as gene. Okay, so gene is nothing but unit of inheritance so gene, what we defined is the segment of DNA. We can also define gene as a unit of inheritance it is a unit of inheritance which can transfer from or which can pass from one generation to another. To another through gametes. If it is passing through the gametes and it regulate the expression of particular character and it regulate the expression of particular character, then it is known as gene. Gene is also known as gene is also known as factor or elemente. And this gene term is given by Johnson. Given by Johansson. Okay, so this is the particularly a definition of gene, and that is the segment of DNA. Now, similar to gene, one another term which we will discuss here, that is allele. And before discussing allele, we have to understand one term, that is locus. Locus is nothing but the position of gene on the chromosome. If